The Fox City Score Chapter and WHBY are pleased to bring you Biz Talk. Join Pat Lowney and Terry Pinch as they talk to entrepreneurs and professionals who share their experiences, from starting to sustaining growth. Learn the skills needed for your business to be successful and get interactive by calling 281-1150. If you missed anything, you can catch the Biz Talk podcast at biztalkwithscore.com. And now, from the Myron Construction Studio, it's Biz Talk on WHBY.
Good morning and welcome to Biz Talk. I'm Pat Lowney.
And I'm Terry Pinch. And Pat, last week we had a guest on from the Bahamas so people could feel the warmth as we talked through in the cold weather. This week we're going in the other direction, and we're going to talk cold weather activities. One of the greatest things you can do outside in the winter is skate. So we'll be talking a lot about that today, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're covering everything.
Yeah.
So we're happy you joined us this morning. Biz Talk is brought to you each weekend by the Fox City Score Chapter, and we're going to talk about the Score Chapter a little bit more as we move through the show, but we want to get to our guest right away, and our guest is Lizzy Auth with the Plaza at Gateway Park in Neenah. Hi, Lizzy.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And thank you for coming in. So let's talk about the Plaza at Gateway Park, something really new and really exciting. And why don't you start us off by telling us a little bit about your background and, you know, how you got involved?
Okay. I am a native of Neenah, and I went to Marquette University in Milwaukee, and I had the opportunity to study abroad at semester at sea and go to lots of cool, amazing countries. And I had an interest in photography, so I spent a summer studying photography in London. I was a high school teacher and then a stay-at-home mom. I have 3 children, and I dabbled in my photography and started a photography business. I'm a high school tennis coach, and I have been doing that for about 14 years. And now I am new to the Plaza, and it has been such a treat to be a part of this project.
So the Plaza at Gateway Park, tell us about that whole project and how that got started. And, you know, it just opened up in October, right? The end of October?
Yes, it did.
And you're in your first season?
Yes, we are. So this land is owned by the city, and some great people in our community wanted to build an ice rink and donate it to the kids in our community so they would have a fun and safe place for their families to come and ice skate. So that was kind of the vision behind this. And my dad, John Bergstrom, he doesn't like to take lots of credit for many things, but this was one of his awesome ideas. And when he mentioned it to me, I was like, that is the coolest thing. I would love to be a part of this project. And I totally embraced the idea, and I thought it would be great for our community, for our kids, for our downtown. It brings people to our area. It just showcases what a cool place Neenah really is and the Fox Valley is. So, we opened October 28th, and November 19th, it was cold enough to make ice, and we had a big opening October 28th where we had love monkeys and closed the street and had a big party. And then November 19th, for the opening of the ice, we had an exhibition where we had local figure skaters that are incredibly talented from kindergarten through college come put on a show. And it was so magical. It really was it was magical to see.
And as you look at going through that opening month or two, took a lot of effort to prepare for it. What are some of the things that had to happen for you guys to get open, right down to building the place?
Yeah, so the fundraising, I give full credit to my dad and my brother and John Hogarty at Bergstrom Automotive, their attorney, and they did all the background work of making this place happen, and so many donors contributed to the project. The city was a huge partner in helping us in many ways, and our meetings, because it was COVID time, were on Zoom, and a lot of how we built it so it would work even in COVID times. So when you get your ice skates, you're outside and you go up to a skate window. When you go for coffee, you can either come in and sit down, or you can go to the skate window and sit outside by the fire pit. So a lot of our planning because we were in kind of COVID-minded times, we did plan how this would continue to work even in this time period.
Okay. Could you kind of describe, I guess we should have covered this earlier, some of the services provided at the plaza so everybody gets an overview of it?
Yeah, so it is a year-round venue, and at this place, so you can come in and enjoy coffee year-round. You can ice skate from November to March. And then from April to October, we're going to have lots of outdoor activities. We're going to have patio chairs. We're going to have outdoor games. We're just going to make this a community space where people can come, hang out, get a good cup of coffee. We're going to have some events like art exhibits. We're going to have exercise classes. We're right by Loop the Lake, so people can run Loop the Lake and then come here after. So we're trying to make this a year-round venue, just not an ice rink.
Okay. So what was the involvement? You mentioned it's on City of Neenah land. What was the involvement of the local government and or regional governments like the counties in helping set this up?
They were wonderful in helping us in any way we needed to make this happen. And they were part of our meetings. They were part of our planning. They were just a really great partner in how we were going to make this happen. And they continue to be, for sure.
Okay. So step back a bit then. Why? Why do this? Why is it so important to have something like this in Neenah?
That's a great question. I think I give credit again to my dad. I think he is a visionary. He's always thinking how we can make our area better. How can we make this a community people want to live in? Obviously, for me as a mom, I bring my kids here all the time, and they are 9, 11, and 14, and their friends come here, and it's just a heartwarming place. In Wisconsin, I'm not a lover of cold. That's why it's funny I'm at an ice rink now, but I don't like the cold. And a lot of Wisconsin people are like that. We love the 9 months of the year that it's not freezing, but the 3 months of the year or 4 months that it's so cold, I think we all are trying to think of ways we can still get in touch with nature, still connect with people, and having an ice rink downtown Neenah where you can come get a cup of coffee, skate, go out to dinner at one of our local restaurants. It's a good fit for downtown, in my opinion.
Okay. And was that really one of the primary objectives of this project, is really continue to improve and develop the whole atmosphere of Neenah itself and make it a destination place?
I think the goal was to make it for the kids in our community. Like, where can they go that they are safe, where they can meet people, and it is a draw to our city. I don't think we were like, oh, let's focus on the tourism of Neenah. That wasn't the goal. It was to make Neenah and the Fox Valley, if you live here, a great place. And just doing this program, being part of this project, I have met so many kind people that will show up and be like, hey, what can I do to help this project? Or, hey, I could donate this, or I can give you this skill I have. And it has been really cool to see how many people will contribute to this project and make it the cool place it is. Yeah.
Where did you think the idea of skating started? When I first heard the idea, I thought, wow, that's a great idea, but I never would have thought of skating. You know, there's places around the city have some parks where they flood a little bit and they kind of take care of them, but they're pretty basic and things like that. How did the idea of doing something oriented around skating come from?
From New York City, the Rockefeller Center. So that is why it's the exact dimensions of the ice rink at Rockefeller Center. It's exact shape, everything. So 150 people can fit on their rink and 150 can fit on our rink. And there, because it's a big city, you get a 50-minute time slot. Here, if you want to skate from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., we don't limit it. You can skate the whole time. So that's where the idea of that came from New York City, the Rockefeller Center.
Okay. We're going to take a break. You're listening to Biztalk on WHBY, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Welcome back. We're glad you joined us this morning. Our guest is Lizzy Auth with the Plaza at Gateway Park in Neenah, and we're going to get back to Lizzy in just a minute, but I want to take some time to talk about SCORE. SCORE is a national organization that is a subsidiary of the Small Business Administration, the SBA. There are over 300 SCORE chapters in the United States. Our Fox City SCORE chapter is located in Appleton, and we have offices in Appleton, Oshkosh, and Fond du Lac, and we serve an 8-county area. Those 8 counties are Calumet, Green Lake, Fond du Lac, Marquette, Outagamie, Wapaka, Waushara, and Winnebago. We have 50 volunteer mentors, each an expert in their field. We offer entrepreneurs no cost and confidential mentoring. We have expertise in areas such as IT, social media, marketing, cash flow, accounting, strategic planning, workflow, HR, retail, best practices, and many other specialties. In order to register for a no-cost and confidential mentoring session or to learn more about the Fox City SCORE chapter, visit our website at foxcities.score.org. You can learn more about how the SCORE chapter can assist you with starting and or growing your business. When visiting our website at foxcities.score.org, you can complete an online application for a no-cost confidential mentoring session. Simply complete the online form and submit it to SCORE. Within a few days, a SCORE mentor will be contacting you to set up a meeting. Remember, SCORE is no cost and offers experts who can offer you assistance in many different areas of your business. To get started, simply visit our website at foxcities.score.org.
Okay, Lizzy, we're going back talking about the Plaza at Gateway Park with Lizzy Auth. And let's talk a little bit about the startup. And let's start with, first of all, actually, I think I want to start with Globe Coffee first because that kind of fits in really neat and it's a really unique place. So tell us a little bit about, first of all, preparing to get Globe Coffee started, then hiring the staff and working through that and how you run that business.
Okay. So Globe Coffee, the name is from our statue, the Girl on Top of the World statue at the end of Wisconsin Avenue and Main Street, and the Globe, obviously, from there. And it's just a good community place for Globe Coffee. How we came to be with how we wanted to roast our own beans, how we do the things we do. I've never worked in a coffee shop. I'm not a experienced barista, anything like that, but I travel often with my son who plays in tennis tournaments, and in between the matches, we would sit in all these different coffee shops. And I would take notes, and that's kind of cheesy, but I did. And what I liked about the coffee shop, what I didn't like about the coffee shop, if it felt cozy, if I felt welcome when I was there, what food I liked in a coffee shop. And that was kind of the basis of how we came to be, of what we wanted to offer at our coffee shop, and that we wanted to roast our own beans and how we went about it. So that was kind of the background of how we got the coffee part. And then how we hired people is we did it through Facebook jobs, and I posted it on my personal Facebook page saying, hey, Globe Coffee in the Plaza is opening the end of October. And I put a big sign in my front yard for Marathon Weekend saying the Plaza and Globe Coffee is coming downtown Neenah. If interested, email me. And the city will say some of my neighbors do not like the big sign in my front yard, but it was effective. And we did get people reaching out saying they would love to be part of this community project. So the interesting thing is all summer people kept saying to me, you're not going to find employees. You're not going to find employees. It's going to be so hard to hire people. What I did find is it wasn't necessarily people that were in the job market that applied. It was people that wanted to be a part of this cool project. And because we're a coffee shop and have coffee shop hours from 7 to 3, we have people like me that are moms and that can work here, still pick up their kids from school, and have a good work-life balance. And then for our ice rink hours, and the coffee shop's open during ice rink, we are staffed mainly by high schoolers. And most of them applied on Facebook jobs, more so than Indeed.com. And because I shared it on my personal Facebook page, a lot of the people I knew from a friend of a friend or one of my friend's kids or something like that. And we staff 50 people here. And when I say that, people are like, what? You have 50 people? But when you have 26 high schoolers and they're in plays and they're in basketball and they're in all different activities, but they want to be a part of this project, you really have to be flexible that they can only work maybe 1 day per week, and you just have a lot of them. And we use an app called 7 Shifts where they put in their availability. So like my son who's 14 works here, he puts in his basketball schedule. So then when we do the scheduling, we schedule him in a 3-hour shift or 6-hour shift around that. And the ice rink part, we hired seasonal high schoolers. And then the coffee shop, we hired year-round people. And for our ice rink manager, our builder of this place knew him and said he would be a great ice rink manager. So I thought it was going to be really hard to find someone that had Zamboni experience, ice experience, and would only work 4 months out of the year. But we completely lucked out, and he had worked at Titletown, and Titletown has been great to us and showed us lots of ideas, and we're appreciative of that too. And so that was not something that was challenging, and I'm grateful for that so many people did help and say, oh, I'll help you out, or, oh, I'd love to work there 1 day a week. So we have a big staff, but there are a whole bunch of really awesome people that care.
So you have really 2 separate things going on, right? You've got the coffee shop and then you've got the ice rink, and they're together and things. Your coffee shop is open 7 days a week, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And what hours is the skating available?
So skating is Mondays and Tuesdays 4 to 7, Wednesday private events, Thursday 4 to 8, Friday 4 to 9, Saturday 11 to 9, and Sunday 11 to 6.
Okay. So when you were putting a coffee shop together, obviously the coffee beans or whoever your supplier is really important to the quality of the product that you're putting out. And how did you find that relationship, that connection?
So when I had gone in different cities to these coffee shops, I would ask them where they get their beans from, how they roast their beans, if they do it in-house, if they have someone else do it for them. And the one that I was most attracted to was Bellwether Coffee, and they are out of California, and they are very much into sourcing beans where the farmers are treated fairly and all their employees are. So they are ethically sourced. And I feel confident in this company that they are doing that, and they've gotten accolades for being a good roaster that cares about that. And they actually have been wonderful to work with. Anytime we've ever had a question, they're like, hey, pop on a Zoom call with us and we can go through what you're looking for what type of bean you want to use for espresso, or what we feel you should offer for your pour overs. And they're just they were a really great company so far to work with.
One other thing I'd like to touch on here is you guys are cashless. Can you talk about that, how that decision was made and how it's working?
Yes, we are cashless, and we felt like a lot of venues are switching to cashless. Lambeau Field is cashless. If you go to the Bradley Center, which is now Pfizer Forum, they're cashless. And we felt like, well, as a coffee shop, that's not probably super normal to be cashless, but as a venue, that's the route we're going. So we originally, in the beginning, I think we did get a few complaints or a little backlash, like, oh, how is my 14-year-old going to come without cash? Or how is this? Or people would a little bit in the beginning, but we'd be like, hey, it's a safer environment for our employees. We have mainly high schoolers on weekends. It's cleaner during COVID. It's 3 times faster. We're not passing anything back and forth. All you do is tap your credit card. And now I don't hear complaints at all. But I will say in the beginning, they did. And it was mainly, how are we going to let our kids come here? Now, we have a policy that if they're 13 and under, they need to have an adult present anyway, because this is an ice rink and we don't want them getting hurt and then no one's here. Knock on wood, we haven't had injuries, but I guess the mom in me would like an adult here in case something happens. If they're 14 and older, the parent can sign the waiver and head out. And then we say, if they don't have a debit card, just buy them a gift card. And that helped a lot, because on Christmas break, we had a ton of kids come through these doors, and they just all had their gift cards and could buy their hot cocos and their coffee drinks. And so far, it's gone very smoothly.
Good. We're going to take another break. This is Biztalk and WHBY. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Biztalk. I'm Pat Lowney, and I'm here with Terry Pinch, and we're talking to Lizzy Auth with the Plaza at Gateway Park in Neenah. And before we turn back to Lizzy, Terry, you've got an education update, correct?
Yeah, there's a few courses that are coming up I want to mention. Once again, all of SCORE's courses are being done online with webinars now, and they're coming from across the country. We're using all 250 to 300 chapters of SCORE and sharing the different things they're doing. So you go to foxcities.score.org and click on the Take a Workshop button, and you will find hundreds of different workshops either that you can watch a repeat of or that are coming up live. And I just wanted to mention 3 that are coming in February that would be useful for small businesses and nonprofits. The first one is on February 8th, and it's called Small Business Resilience. Sharpen your focus and decrease stress. So really aimed at trying to help people really focus on the right things, especially during this time during the pandemic when it can be so tough. On February 10th, we've got a great course on secrets to mastering your sales pitch. So especially those people who start small businesses but hate selling, this is something where they can come in and talk a little bit more about how you sell. So it's a great webinar there. And then on February 24th, we've got one. FedEx is one of our SCORE sponsors, and they're going to be doing a course on e-commerce technology and talking through what kind of technology you need as a small business and how, as you grow, what are your upgrade options and how do you manage that? Because a lot of small businesses don't have to do, in the past, had a little bit of technology, but didn't have to do a lot. Well, in the last 18, 24 months, they've added a lot of new technology, and this will really help you think through stuff you're doing and when you do it. Okay. So again, that's at foxcities.score.org, and you click on the Take a Workshop tab and you'll find those 3 and many others. So with that, we're going to turn back to Lizzy Auth from the Plaza at Gateway Park, and we've been talking about their startup, which was just 3 months ago. So let's talk a little bit now about the marketing and the communication plans you put together to drive this. And I will mention for everybody, you do have an education in communication. That's where your degree is. So I'm sure you use some of that background. But let's talk through your marketing plan and how it worked.
I would say we try and have a Facebook presence and an Instagram presence. And it's, hey, like yesterday was -30. So we had to say, oh, all our tot skate classes are closed. Our ice jam is closed. But hey, come have a warm cup of soup with us. So I would say we try and through Facebook and Instagram often be like, hey, we're here. We do have a marketing person. We do have a website design person that made our website awesome, have all our info there. And we're very grateful to have that help too. And I think it helps that we're right downtown when you turn around the bend, because so many people say, oh, I saw skaters, so we decided to stop, or, oh, I saw your fire pits on and people buy them, so we came to stop in. So it helps that we're not in a place where you can't see us. Like if you come around the bend or you're downtown Neenah, you're going to see that we're right here. And one thing I was a little worried about is the neighbors on our street, if they would be concerned with us taking their parking. But it actually has not been an issue, and no one even complains that, oh, there's a parking ramp back there and there's a parking lot this way. They just know, like, hey, it's not right outside the front door necessarily. And all of our neighboring businesses, not one of them has said anything negative to me. They've all said, we've had more people in our store since you opened. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And even the restaurants have said the same thing, because we're a coffee shop. We don't have a full restaurant in here, so we serve paninis and bagel sandwiches and coffee shop food. But if you want like a nice sit-down restaurant type food, we have so many options on our street. So I feel I'm very appreciative that they're not like, oh, what are you guys doing here? But they're being very welcoming and open to us, and that we've brought people to their businesses too.
Well, and that's great too. It goes back to your purpose and the vision the founders had for it. So let's talk a little bit on the other side. As you look back over the last 3 months, since beginning November, really. What would you have done differently, or what have you done differently now than you started with, and what things do you think you might have done differently overall?
That's a great question. The number one thing is we had one espresso machine, and we realized very quickly that one espresso machine would not keep up with the volume when we were an ice rink. We also didn't have a good system for making hot cocoa. When you go to a coffee shop, they steam the milk, they add the Ghirardelli chocolate, and it's very delicious. But when you are a venue having lots and lots of people, we just could not keep up with the volume of the coffee or the cocoa. And it's funny, if you look back at our Google reviews in the beginning or the emails we would get, they all were about, or a lot of them, I waited too long for my coffee, I waited for hot cocoa and it wasn't even hot. A lot of that, we just didn't know how to make enough. And now we've asked around and like, what's the best way to do this? And we were running out of hot water when we switched from milk to hot water. So now we have, and it's totally goofy, but when we're a coffee shop during the day, we make coffee shop hot cocoa that has steamed milk and that. And when we are an ice rink, we just could not keep up with the volume. So it is like what you would get, unfortunately, with water and powder, but it's still good. And we advertise it that way. So people know there's a difference between the coffee shop hot cocoa and the ice rink hot cocoa. That I would just say were our biggest snafus, was keeping up with the coffee, keeping up with the cocoa. And like when Future Neenah had their mannequin night, or I'm not sure what they call it now, but Very Merry Neenah night, the city told us they had 8,000 people on this street, and it was overwhelming because everyone wanted to come see the plaza. It was the new thing, and everyone wanted hot cocoa, and it was like hot cocoa after hot cocoa after hot cocoa after hot cocoa, and we just could not get a handle on it. And I think for some people that was their first impression of us, which was kind of a bummer for us, because here we wanted to have this great presentation, like, oh, we've got our act together, yet we just could not keep up. And luckily we've improved since then, and December was very busy at the ice rink, and we were better at handling it. And then in January, when we got our second espresso machine, now when someone comes in and orders a bunch of drinks, we can get it done in a fast fashion. So that's the number one thing. We just did not prepare for how much volume. We also had to change our food menu because we started with waffles, and we had 2 waffle makers, but when you have every table ordering waffles for breakfast and you can't keep up, that was upsetting people too. So we took it off the menu. Now we put it back on now that we haven't had the crazy holiday rush that we were having.
So as you look going forward for next holiday season, you're going to be are you thinking of specials and other things you can do to make it work even better with over and above and beyond what changes you've already made?
Yes, that is funny, because when we have our meetings, we're like, okay, so next year we know December is probably going to be our busiest month because family comes in town, and we closed for Thanksgiving, we closed Christmas Eve, we closed Christmas Day, and that too, people are like, why aren't you open Christmas Eve? And so we are brainstorming, like, maybe we should be open for a little bit on Christmas Eve, or maybe we should open longer hours because we didn't extend our hours, and maybe that would have spread out the people more. Those are all good things. We have to sit and think about how to handle the crowds of December.
Okay, Lizzy, can you talk a little bit more about the lessons and the things that are happening on the ice where you're bringing in people for training?
Yes. So Coach Holly is a local coach that came to us and said she would like to teach classes here. And we were open to the idea, and we thought it would be another great way to use this space during the day. So she offers tot classes. She offers whole family skate lessons on Sundays from 9 to 11. She does an ice jam for adults on Mondays and Wednesdays where they can come and learn to skate, and it's like a little bit of a workout with music. We have homeschool days where during the day a homeschool group can come. We've had field trips come. So we're trying to use this space not just in the evening, but also in the daytime if someone's interested.
Okay. So what's the ice area going to be used for when it's out? You talked about events. Could you go into a little more detail on those events and activities?
Yeah. So when ice is gone, we'll take down the barrier, and that's going to be an awesome patio. And we have lots of patio tables, ping pong table, Jenga, lots of those backyard games. So people can come in the summer, in the spring, come have lunch, come grab a coffee, and just have a great community space to hang out in the summer.
Okay.
You had some of that out before you made the ice when you first opened this season, right?
Sure did. So when we opened in October, we put it all out, and then obviously when we became an ice rink, November 19th, we had to put it all in storage.
Okay. So just one last question. Have you ridden the Zamboni yet?
I had to pull it out of the garage, so they taught me how to do that, and even that was stressful for me. And I was like, this is not my calling. Not going to be a driver.
Good. Well, I did it many years, 50 years ago, and I didn't really drive it. I just sat with the guy while he drove it, but I thought I was only 9 or 10. So anyhow.
That's neat.
So next thing I want to talk a little bit more about are the fire pits. I thought that was really neat, and the fact you sell s'mores in the store. So describe to people how the fire pits work. Can they rent them, or do they is it first come, first serve? And some of the things you see people using them, how you see people using them.
Yeah, so in the fall, we had them open whenever the coffee shop was open, and we would have running groups that would say, I'll meet you at the fire pit, and then they would go loop the lake, which is 3.75 miles, and then they would come back to the fire pits and get coffee and chat. I see that. A lot of school groups would be like, hey, we don't necessarily want to do our PTO meetings in the cafeteria during COVID. Could we meet by your fire pit? So we did have some school groups do their meetings by our fire pits, which I actually thought was a great idea too. Now for winter, we have the fire pits going whenever the ice rink's open, and then coffee shop hours, anytime someone asks us, we'll turn them on. The s'mores have gone over really well. So a tray of s'mores is $10, and it makes 8 s'mores, and you get your little skewers, and it's just kind of a magical experience to sit out there. And actually today some kids were off of school and they were out there. I love seeing people out there making s'mores. It's just it's a cute, homey little thing to do.
And I found it when I was there too. They're pretty warm to sit around too, so it's not like people, if they're coming there, you're not going to freeze while you're outside.
Yeah, so we have 3 fire pits. One's low to the ground, 2 are like high ball tables, and then we have a normal fireplace by the skate rental window that people seem to get cozy by that fireplace too.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit now, go back a little bit and talk about what it's like to manage a place that's so much in the public eye, and how do you work through that? How comfortable are you with that? And what do you have to think about as you're doing it?
You're right. We are in the public eye right here. I would say I love seeing people that are regulars now. They come all the time. They come get their lunch every Wednesday or every Tuesday. And I feel like we've kind of made our place here. Being in the public eye, I guess I can't take it too personal when they say something like what they don't like about us, I guess. But I would say usually it's that our hot cocoa wasn't fast enough or our coffee wasn't fast enough. So we're improving on that. I also have gotten good suggestions. Like someone wrote a Google review on how we should move our tables. And it was a brilliant idea. And I was like, oh, I could take his advice. And we actually did move the tables how he suggested. So being in the public eye, I've lived in Neenah my whole life. So for me, it's fun to see people like, oh, I went to grade school with you, or, oh, our kids play soccer together. So I don't know. It just has a cozy, homey feeling here for me. It's a happy place for me for sure.
Okay. So you talked earlier about ideas for events, and we're still in the middle of winter, but we're starting to head into that warm season. How have you started planning for those events, or is that coming up, and what type of things are you thinking about?
We want to have like local artists come show their art. Bergstrom Mahler Museum asked if they could do their glass blowing here in the summer, so we'll have a glass blowing event. The farmers market is staying next to the library, and I know one idea was if we did art when the farmers market was going on, you could hit up both on a Saturday. On Sundays, we would sometimes like to have live music, like acoustic, coffee shop type music that from 8 to 3 on a Sunday, you could come sit outside and enjoy some music. So musicians have been reaching out saying, hey, if you're hiring any musicians, we would love to be a part of this. So I think that will bring a lively environment to our downtown as well. There are that have sit down areas right downtown. So we do feel fortunate that we have this big patio area when it's not an ice rink.
You know, I live in Neenah, and I think it's a great idea, both the live music and also, you know, if you could do something in conjunction on Saturdays with the farm market, so you have people moving up and down, and there is, excuse me, there is a lot of traffic on Main Street on Saturday mornings.
Yes,
so I think that's a good idea.
Thank you.
One interesting thing is you talked about feedback, and there's some examples where people were offering opportunities for improvement. But the really nice thing we've heard so far is you think about the response you got when you were hiring and how good it was. And you think about the response you're getting to the individual events and activities. So yes, it's sometimes easier to get negative feedback on social media, but it sure sounds like you're getting an awful lot of positive feedback, either through actions or specific responses.
Thank you so much. I agree with you that more often than not, the people walking in the door, they'll say, oh, this is like this little boy came in and he was, this is the coolest coffee shop I've ever been in. And I'm like, oh my God, you're the cutest little guy. And a grandma said to us, like, I bring my grandkids to skate here every weekend, and it has like rebuilt my way to connect with them. And it just warms my heart that people are enjoying it. Like, I'm looking out the window right now and a lady just brought her dog. We're dog friendly outside, and it is pretty cute how people walk their dog and then come hang out here too.
Yeah. I bet that one of the things you'll be happy about is when the building next door gets completed to you, so you have that sidewalk and that parking space back open again.
I am excited for that project to be done. I don't know when it's going to be done, but yeah, it will be nice. You're right.
Yeah. So, okay, we're going to take another break. This is Biztalk on WHBY, and we'll be back in a couple minutes. I'd like to thank our sponsors who help bring Biztalk to you each weekend. We really appreciate their support. They are Fox Communities Credit Union, a longtime sponsor of Biztalk. Fox Communities Credit Union has been serving members for over 80 years and has 23 offices throughout Northeast Wisconsin. If you're looking for business-oriented banking services, please contact Fox Communities Credit Union. Thank you to Hailing & Associates. Hailing & Associates helps small businesses and individuals not just prepare tax returns, but by planning for taxes to help minimize taxes for this year and beyond. Hailing & Associates, personal connection, positive results. Thank you to Capital Credit Union. With 125,000 members and growing, Capital believes in doing the right thing for its members and the communities it serves. Visit capitalcu.com today to learn how they can help you reduce your financial stress. And a special thank you to the Business News for promoting our program in their biweekly business newspaper serving Northeast Wisconsin. If you aren't already subscribing to Business News, you should. For only $23 a year, the paper is delivered bi-weekly and contains relevant and useful information about the business community in Northeast Wisconsin. So, Lizzy, as we're kind of wrapping up this morning, can you let people know maybe where the plaza is at if they're not familiar with that, and then ways, websites and ways that they can find out more about it?
Yes, you bet. So we are downtown Neenah. You would get off Highway 41 on Main Street and head downtown, and you will see our 3 fire pits. You'll see our ice rink, and then you'll see a building that looks like a Swiss chalet, and it's got a sign that says the Plaza, nice and big. And we do have street parking. We have a parking ramp, and then behind the downtown area, there's a parking lot as well. And to come to the plaza, there's no charge. There's obviously, if you buy something from Globe Coffee or if you go ice skating, there's a charge. But like, we had people on New Year's Eve that just wanted to come watch ice skaters, and there's no charge. Just come, enjoy the place, and it is pretty fun to watch people ice skating. So it is, no charge to come, just for the amenities here.
And if you're listening and you haven't been down, go down there and just look this over. It's just a gorgeous building, a gorgeous setting, and really, really exciting to see all the people that are skaters that are using it.
Yes, thank you. And our website is www.theplazaneenah.com. Our Facebook page is The Plaza and Globe Coffee. Our Instagram is The Plaza and Globe Coffee.
Okay, so you've got all these things going on and you're just trying to work out the bugs and everything, but what's in the back of your mind that you're thinking about for the future?
A lot of people who call or send a message want to rent this facility. So right now for winter, we only have it closed Wednesdays, and those did fill, and they have been great. Like a big neighborhood party had their Christmas party here, or local companies don't want to do an inside party for COVID reasons, but they can do a family event here and do an ice skating night. Lots of schools have reached out to have where they normally would have a father-daughter dance, or they would normally have a certain event, bowling, that they maybe not necessarily feel comfortable doing right now, bringing a lot of people together. This is one place that they can do that. So I think for the future, we didn't take into account how interested people would be in renting it. And for summer, people say, can I have a graduation party here? Can I have my rehearsal dinner party here? So right now we're in the planning stages of how we can keep this a community space daily during coffee shop hours, and then at night if someone would like to rent it for their private use, how that would look like. So we've been working with certain caterers and a special event coordinator to make that happen. One thing I will say is we are not doing weddings here. The city has a noise ordinance at 10 p.m. and we just don't think that's conducive with weddings, but we do appreciate that people know this is a pretty space, but that's not necessarily the route we're going with this space. Coffee-wise, for the future, we're adding flights of coffee. We're adding flights of hot cocoa. We're planning coffee tastings so people can come in and be like, this is the same bean but roasted 3 different ways. Or this is our espresso shot of this bean. This is our latte, signature latte this way. And this is our pour over. So we're going to be branching out more into the coffee world. I think there's a lot of people that love good coffee, and we have it, and we want people to learn about that too.
Okay. There's 2 people really want to thank here. And first of all, I think we need to thank you a lot, because just as you described this, you've done an incredible amount of work to get a business in place in 3 months.
Thank you.
Really make it available to people. And it's not just 1 or 2 things. You got 50 people working at this location. You're doing all sorts of different events and activities. So you've really done a great job in starting this up. And
Thank you.
I'll let Pat pick up for me for this, but I'll just start and say I mentioned earlier I lived here 2 years in the early 90s, and Neenah downtown was starting to get run down a little bit, and the changes since then have been incredible, and your father has driven a lot of that. Pat?
Thank you.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And the change has been remarkable. And the area where you're located at used to be the old Bergstrom Gladfelter paper mill, and they closed probably 10 or 15 years ago. And, again, the visionaries and the people that were able to, along with the city, were able to get that building taken down, and the whole area is redeveloped now, and it's just unbelievable. And this thing is kind of like the crown jewel right in the middle of it, which I think is going to be attracting a lot of people and make Neenah even more attractive to people who are coming into the Fox Cities and looking for a place to raise a family and, and settle and things like that. So I think it's all really good. So thank you for all of the work and everything that you've put into this. I have one question though, as we finish up. What do you have a feel for how many people are showing up who have said something like, I skated when I was a kid, but I haven't skated since. And now 20 years later, I've got some young kids. I'd like to get them out to skate, but I don't want to go out and buy skates, that come to the plaza and say, you know what, I'll rent skates for an afternoon and, give it a try and see how it goes for me.
I think you're completely right. A lot of people grew up skating and it was just part of their upbringing, so they're sentimental about it. And then right now we do have great parks that have ice rinks, but you can't rent skates. And we have 600 pair here, which is a lot of pairs. But when you have 110 sixth graders coming or you have a top class, you need every size, a lot of them. So that is something, if you want to come and see if you like ice skating, we have the skates you can rent. And you're so right. People are sentimental about it because they grew up doing it and they want to bring it to their kids. I can think of a couple times in particular where people have brought ice skates they found in their garage from when they were young, and they are all rusty, all beat up, and then we're like, hey, we've got a skate sharpener, we'll sharpen those. And then they skate on them, and then they're like, I'm going to rent skates. They're not working quite how they should.
Great. Also, thanks so much, Lizzy, for coming in. We appreciate your time, and
good
luck with the venture and keep it going. That's it for our show. If you came in later and you'd like to listen again, you can hear the podcast on our website, biztalkwithscore.com. As always, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.